Hey there, guys. Welcome back to Let's Play 999. 9 hours, 9 persons, 9 doors. The entire bloody game, I've been saying the last second part of that, I've always been saying 9 persons, 9 hours, 9 doors. And the last episode, this actual game name was on the screen while I said it, and after I recorded it, I realized, oh, I've been saying it wrong. Whoops! So, we are in the captain's quarters, and another of the expanded segments happened. Once again, I did not realize it was a whole segment until I got a couple of lines into it, but basically, Junpei is explaining why the dead captain cannot be Zero, which was never a big... I never really thought that was Zero to begin with, just because it just... Well, Zero actually talks to us in the safe ending, so we know that this guy can't be him.
Don't you get it?
Okay, I want to make sure.
If whoever killed this guy really wanted us to think this corpse was Zero, they'd never have put a bracelet on him.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point that I hadn't thought of before, because there's no reason Zero would be wearing a Zero bracelet.
Walking around with a Zero bracelet would be like hanging a sign around your neck that said, "I did it!" Anyone with a brain would be able to see that this guy is supposed to look like everything Zero is supposed to be.
But what if he's accounting on the fact that we don't have brains?
Just like we did. The killer must have known we wouldn't think he was Zero and put the bracelet on him anyway. Do you know why?
So we can use the bracelet later?
Why?
Like I said, he's mocking us. Too bad, suckers, this isn't Zero.
I don't know where this is going. I'm including it because it's new, but there's not... All this is Junpei being like, hey, the captain isn't Zero, and I'm like, yeah, I know.
Where's the real me then? See if you can catch me. It's the same bad joke a lot of criminals like to play. They'll just sit back and watch people run in circles.
I mean, that's fun, though.
That's really twisted. But it almost seems kind of childish.
Yeah, you're right. It's really childish. It's like it's just a game to whoever this person is. That's what seems funny to me.
What do you... It's almost like this person thinks this is just a game. They literally called it the Nonary game. Of course it is. Should we have been down next to the corpse?
Alright, let's get back to the point. Who killed this man?
I don't know.
I mean, Zero? Is there a doubt?
And what's this guy's deal? Who is he?
How would I know that? If I knew anything, I would have told you.
Clover's being awfully defensive for no reason.
You have no idea who he is.
Why would I?
I mean, he's the ship's captain. That's my assumption. Obviously, I don't think Zero is the one that was sailing the ship around. Should we stand back on his haunches and thought? Haunches? What is he, a cow?
We should check and see if he's got anything on him that might tell us who he is. Give me a hand here, Clover.
Huh?
We gotta flip him over. How else are we gonna search his pockets?
Clover didn't move.
Okay, fine. Guess I'll do it.
So we had no choice but to move the body on his own.
Here we go.
That is a little bit of an insensitive request, though, whenever, she just lost her brother, and you'd be like, hey, come handle this dead body. Or she thinks she lost her brother anyway. It took a moment, but eventually Junpei felt the man's bulk begin to shift. And just as it did, something fell from the man's left wrist.
Hey, it's the
bracelet with Zero on the face.
Lastly, let us discuss how to remove the bracelets. There are only 2 ways to do so. 1, you escape from this ship. 2, Lord Hartley, which is Zero. In other words, once the bracelet is taken outside the confine of the ship, or the parasite that wearer's heartbeat has fallen to Zero, it will shut down automatically.
So yeah, it's actually interesting. Someone mentioned in the last episode that whenever Snake did his trick at the last ending and took his bracelet, through the door, it actually made this guy blow up. And even when it said, I was like, well, no, isn't the bracelet shut down at this point? Although that's actually another question. If it's shut down, how can you scan it? Shouldn't shut down mean it also won't register to scanners?
Oh God.
Should we stare at the bracelet?
This man, he's dead, isn't he?
Yes, Junpei!
Huh?
No, it's just, I guess I didn't really think about it until right now. If his bracelet's off, that means he's dead.
Wow, Junpei. You know, every once in a while Junpei does smart things, and then every once in a while he does that.
Well, it's pretty obvious that he's dead. You don't really need to look at his bracelet to figure out that he's dead.
Yeah. I guess you're right. It is pretty obvious. Well, he looks a lot better than the other bodies we've seen, though.
Oh my god, Junpei.
No.
Why would
I mean,
you...
If there wasn't all this blood, he'd almost look like he was still alive.
Junpei, just stop talking. He gave you a bracelet, not a shovel.
I mean, I know it's kind of a messed up thing to say, but he kind of has it better.
Junpei, shut up. All right. I'm about to give Actually, where is the axe, now that we mentioned that?
Dying from a bomb going off inside of you? I mean, that's just...
Junpei.
Some of Snake's bones went right through his skin.
Dude, what the fuck?
I think the explosion must have thrown him against a wall or something.
Dude. Can I smack Junpei?
There's a broken bone just sticking out of his left arm.
Oh, that's where this is going. Okay, I was like, why is he doing this?
And,
Suddenly, Junpei realized what he was saying. How could he have been so cruel? He clapped his hands over his mouth. It was already too late. He turned to look at Clover. She was glaring at him furiously.
What did you just say?
Yeah, this is where she realized, because someone else in comments at one point asked, you know, how did Clover not realize this before? But I think the answer is pretty obvious. Prior to that, she had, like, not really looked at the body because it was too painful. Her words sounded cold. You don't apologize would hardly atone for what he'd done, but he tried anyway.
man, I am so sorry. I shouldn't have said that. I really don't know what I was thinking. I mean...
No, that's not what I'm talking about. What did you say about his arm?
Arm?
Yes, his left arm. You said it, didn't you?
Well, yeah, I did, but... I mean, didn't you see it too?
Of course not. I could barely look at him.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because it would be very, very painful to, like, to look directly into that.
There's no way I was gonna see the details.
Clover took a quick, deep
Are
breath.
you sure it was his left arm?
Junpei thought back.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was.
And he had a broken bone, right?
What the hell are you getting at here?
Does he not know in this playthrough?
Just shut up and answer me!
She shoved her face closer, and you could see the fire in her eyes. Junpei winced, and then he swallowed.
Yeah, he did. It was pretty bad, too. The bone was sticking out of the arm.
As soon as the words out of his mouth, and Clover's expression changed.
Clover? What's wrong?
Okay, and this is actually the other big reason that she doesn't go on, like, a kill crazy rampage, because in this, she now knows that that wasn't Snake.
Look, I'm sorry if I said anything.
Suddenly she was crying. She wasn't sure what to do.
Thank you.
It was close to the last thing he'd expected to hear.
Huh? What are you...
Junpei had no idea what had just happened. He didn't think he'd done anything... Cat! Don't minimize the game. Didn't think he'd done anything worthy of thanks, and he couldn't understand why she would have chosen that moment to begin crying. So he simply stood there, confused.
Thank you so much, Junpei.
She thanked him again, and something even stranger happened. Hooray, Clover's not a psycho! She threw herself into Junpei's surprised arms.
What's going on with you?
I'm sorry, it's just... I'm so happy.
A complete stranger died instead of my brother, which, admittedly, you would be happy about. I mean, I'm not going to be like, she's cruel and heartless because she cares less about a complete stranger than her own brother. Like, of course, everyone would do that. But still, it seems a little on the nose.
Why?
The body in the shower room, it isn't his. It isn't my brother.
Huh?
It's not Snake.
Why on earth would you think that?
Because his left arm is...
She stopped
I'm
herself.
sorry. I really shouldn't be talking about this.
Interesting. She told me in the other playthrough. So I decided to be prudent not to press her for any more information. She knew what to tell him. She certainly had a reason for doing so. Perhaps more importantly, Clover was so certain that she was likely right. That meant the body in the shower room wasn't Snake. It wasn't much. That knowledge lifted some of the weight from Junpei's heart.
But he's still alive. I'm so happy.
Tears shone in her eyes. Those tears melted Junpei's heart. As she cried, she had pushed herself up against his chest like a child. Put his arms around her and held her tight.
I'm so glad.
And here, Ace is gonna walk in and be like, "Oh, well."
Junpei, you were right.
Huh?
No matter what happens, you can never lose hope.
Yep, the four-leaf clover parable.
You have to remember what's most important, and that's to have faith and to have love. If you can remember all of those, that'll bring you good luck.
Good job, Junpei. Clover reached in her pocket and pulled something out.
That's...
It was a limited bookmark with a four-leaf clover.
I only made it here because you gave me this.
That is actually eerily true. Such a minor detail.
I was suspicious of everybody, and I was angry and miserable. But because I had this four-leaf clover, because of what you said to me,
Yeah.
Junpei hadn't thought his words would have such an effect on her. Her words were making him feel a little awkward.
Thank you so much, Junpei.
She looked up at him. He scratched his nose and pretended to notice something interesting somewhere else in the room.
Oh, if you really want to thank somebody, you should be thanking Santa.
Santa? Why?
And this is where she finds out that Santa was in the same experiment?
Well, he was the one who gave me that thing. And the words for each leaf, I got that from him too.
Oh.
I wonder if that's also going to shake her resolve that Santa was the one that killed her brother, because he realizes, or killed whoever, because she realizes that Santa was a kindred spirit. And suddenly, Clover broke away from Junpei.
Huh?
He looked he hadn't thought she'd react that poorly. She began to pace around the room. Wow, okay. Maybe when I said Clover isn't crazy, I was a little bit presumptuous. 6 left, 6 left to the right, another 6 to the left, and then she stopped.
Did Santa really tell you those things?
Why would I lie? About that of all things. Her eyes were serious, but not angry.
Yeah, he did. Did I say something wrong?
Again?
Oh no, not at all. In fact, this could be really good news, I think.
You think?
Well, it's hard to say.
Santa knew about the words and the clover. The only people who should know about that are the other subjects.
Yep, so Snake, Clover, and Santa were in the things 9 years ago. And now at least Clover knows about Santa, because before Junpei knew about both but didn't know enough to connect them.
Subjects.
The other people who were in the experiment 9 years ago, with my brother and me.
Yeah, Santa, your brother, and Lotus's 2 daughters. Or 2 children. I don't know if we know that they're daughters.
But he's blind. And I was part of the Nevada test group.
The Nevada test group? I thought the experiment was on this ship.
So neither of us would be able to recognize the faces of the people who were on this boat.
I'm still surprised that Ace couldn't recognize their voices.
Whoa. Okay, time out.
Junpei held up his hands. Okay, and that also explained... Okay, actually that makes sense, because Ace's stated reason for killing Snake was that Ace was in charge of that experiment, and he was worried Snake would recognize his voice. But he was never worried about Clover. And okay, that makes sense if it was a different test group. I hadn't really put that together yet, or wondered why Clover wasn't more of a risk than Snake was. But obviously he was at least on the boat team. But I still want to know, why was there a second group? What were they doing in Nevada?
Let's just calm down for a second, okay?
It sounds like Clover's perfectly calm. It's just you, Snake.
Start from the top. Don't start with the end and then jump to the middle.
Well, don't tell her to tell her story. It's her story. This is her story.
You gotta start with 1 and then move to 2 and 3.
Oh my god, Junpei, shut up.
If you don't tell me stuff in the right order, I'm never gonna be able to figure it out.
Well, what kind of a detective are you? Naoto would be ashamed.
Okay.
Clover nodded.
All right, let's start with this experiment. What happened on this boat 9 years ago?
Do you know about morphogenetic fields?
I've heard about them. They seem to be what every little random piece of information comes back to.
Morphogenetic fields.
He did. And I realized it chills down Junpei's spine.
All right, how about this? Theory of the telepathic mechanism.
So I wonder if Lotus's knowledge of morphogenic fields is part of the reason her daughters were picked. Or her children. I don't know why I keep saying daughters.
I think Lotus mentioned something like that.
Jerry recalled what Lotus had told him earlier. Clover nodded.
Telepathy, huh? Well, that's not really it, but I suppose it's similar.
So they were testing telepathy on this ship?
Yeah, I guess so.
So, what exactly did they have you guys do?
Yeah, this is we're finally starting to understand the reason for the first Nonary games, which may give us the background we need to understand the reason for the second.
The same thing that we're doing now. Exactly the same thing.
Wait, what?
What?
The Nonary game.
So you've had 2 bombs in your stomach so far?
9 people were put on this boat, and 9 others were put in the building in Nevada, and the game started.
Well, that isn't the exact same thing. Should make grab the sides of his head.
Look, I'm sorry, but I don't get it. What do the Nonary game and some telepathy experiment have to do with each other?
Yeah, that we definitely don't have a secondary group giving us telepathic hints now, do we? If so, I certainly don't know anything about it.
Am I missing something here?
I mean, probably, but I'm also missing it, so don't feel bad, Junpei. Clover bit her lip. She blinked back sudden tears. What had happened to her in Nevada?
The ability to access a morphogenetic field is affected by a couple of things. The first is epiphany, and the other is danger.
Interesting. So sudden realization and personal threat allows you to send your thoughts to someone else?
You know how sometimes when you're up against a really tough problem, and then the answer just kind of pops in your head?
Yes, actually, that has happened.
That's an epiphany. And what you learn from the epiphany can be transmitted with telepathy.
Okay.
When you add danger to that equation, then it gets easier to transmit that information over telepathy.
Interesting.
So you're saying the Nonary game was supposed to introduce that element of danger?
Yeah, but it couldn't be just any old danger.
So is that
It had to be life and death. It had to be life and death.
interesting? If you sat there, she reads the next line because they didn't actually cut it correctly. So that's why the Nonary games is set up over a timed 9-hour period in order to allow the danger to ramp up, but without having to like let it be undercut by the fact of, oh well, I have to shoot you now because. And here comes Ace.
Someone did actually die. A girl.
Oh, really? Huh. Joey felt a sudden group of despair in his heart. Something deep and distant, powerful, squeezed. When he felt... That's interesting. Why? Like, a lot of people have died. Why is... or is it just that the empathy of having it be... Because girl may mean, like... Especially given Clover's age, it may have been meant to, like, kid. And that would be a lot different than, you know, the ninth man or the, you know, person X or the captain. That, you know, were adults and not... I won't say not important, but not related to anything dying.
She was on the boat with my brother. I was in Nevada. I never met her, but I did hear her name.
Where is this going? I'm sorry, the name of a complete stranger in the distant past would mean nothing, which means this has to be a name we would recognize. But unless it's one of Lotus's 2 kids, what were they, Luna and Nona?
Her name was...
God bless America. Really? Joey spun around.
Oh, my apologies. I seem to have disturbed you.
Ace.
You two must have strong stomachs. I can't imagine how you could stay in this room for so long.
He glanced down at the floor. At the corpse covered in blood.
At any rate, Junpei, would you be so kind as to come and help me with something?
Why does he keep grabbing Junpei? I think Ace has a crush.
I'm having a little trouble, and I could really use your assistance. Come on. It'll only take a moment.
With that, he turned and walked back towards the communications office. Clover waited till he was out of sight and spoke in a small, quiet voice.
I don't want Ace to hear us. We can talk about this later.
Just give me their name. I mean, although, again, it's got to be either Luna or Nona, because those are the only 2 names that would really matter. Like, we don't know about any persons other than the, you know, people in this game, except for those.
Huh? Hey, wait.
Clover ignored him. From outside, Junpei could hear Ace calling.
Junpei? What are you doing in there? Hurry up!
Grumbling to himself, Junpei stomped off towards the communications office. I thought I was going into the communications office. Well, weren't we supposed to do something? Like, I kind of assumed that you would have me do something. And then... Wasn't there an ink blotter somewhere? Was it here? Yes, okay. This has got to trigger something with Ace. And then, now that the Morse code is available... Alright, go ahead and... Sorry, I know you guys have seen me do this before, but I feel like there's got to be something that happens with Ace, or... I mean... So why did he pull me in here and then not have anything happen? And here's the all ice file.
Looks like there's something on the cover. ALLICE. All ice. Alice.
So okay, so this is the new scene. I'm glad I stuck with it for a second.
Does this mean...
Joey couldn't help. He had to know what was in the file. Each page was clever with strange characters. They looked like tiny drawings of birds, snakes, insects, horde. We've seen this before.
So it would seem.
Bottom deck, library. Oh.
Junpei remembered something he'd heard from Seven when they... Okay, because, yeah, there's slight bit of extra stuff in here.
Seven said something like...
Alice sleeps in a small chamber past the Forest of Knowledge beneath the navel of the Gigantic.
Will we actually be able to get to her now? Because we couldn't really get down there before.
Could beneath the navel mean the bottom deck? And the Forest of Knowledge is the library?
I mean, yeah, that's actually what I thought when I first heard it. But I guess you have to, like, be told that knowledge lives in a library.
Then could Alice be in a room somewhere beyond the library?
What's wrong? Something on your mind?
Many things, mainly my skull. Junpei blinked. Only then he noticed Ace was looking at him curiously, and concern was written about across his face in equal parts.
Yeah. I just remembered something.
Is that so? What about?
He seems very terse.
Well, don't laugh, okay?
Probably because the like dead body in the next room, and also he's been like holding on to this like secret of who he actually is for a really long time, and he probably actually no, he definitely knows that Clover was one of his experiments, and Clover and Junpei are spending a lot of time talking about something or other. There's no reason for Junpei to hide his thoughts. He began to explain his theory to Ace, and he stopped. It wouldn't make any sense if Ace didn't know who Alice was supposed to be, so he told Ace everything June had told him.
The Egyptian priestess, an Ice 9. Interesting.
And the woman who wouldn't melt, who was recovered from the Titanic disaster? They called her All Ice, which eventually turned into Alice. And she was purchased by an English millionaire who called himself Lord Gordain.
So yes, it's interesting that this has become such a relevant subplot when it really has nothing to do with the game.
According to Seven, this ship is where he hid Alice.
And you think that he hid her in a small room, beyond the library on the bottom deck?
I mean, the real question is, why do we care? We're just trying to get off alive.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is just a theory.
Okay. Wait, no. The other thing is, could this possibly be hinting at that Alice is Zero? And if so, why? Why would a corpse come to life and abduct random people and put them in a number game? Like, that doesn't make any sense, but Alice is now the only confirmed person that we know of other than us 9, because we don't have any idea who the Captain or Person X actually are. And he stared off into the distance, his hand slowly and absent-mindedly stroking his beard. A few moments, his hand stopped. He turned, slowly looked at Junpei, and his brows drew together.
Junpei, have you ever heard of the term CAS?
Centralized Automated System?
Cass.
It stands for Cells Alive System. It is an advanced technology for freezing and preserving organic matter.
I have definitely never heard of that. Thank you for filling me in, Mr. CEO.
Put simply, it is a technique that allows one to freeze things without the formation of ice crystals.
So basically, that is what Cairo technology has gotten into, where they're able to freeze someone without killing them and just put them into suspended animation. That's always been science fiction to me, but it would not surprise me if they're actually making strides towards it.
Normally, if you freeze something fresh, water within its cells expands as it crystallizes, damaging the cell membrane. CAS, however, works differently. The object to be frozen is supercooled using magnetic fields, and then frozen instantly and uniformly, giving ice crystals no time to form.
Interesting. That actually seems plausible.
It was originally developed for the preservation of food, as an alternative to the normal freezing process. Now, however, there are rumors that it can be used for other things.
Probably, again, suspended animation.
What do you mean, other things?
Although I don't know, that still feels like it would kill things.
Well, there are obvious medical uses, but perhaps also space travel.
Space travel? Are you serious?
Surely you've heard of suspended animation. Cryogenic freezing?
I have. I was just talking about it, actually. Is Ace listening to me? Ace, get out of my room.
It's a fairly common idea in science fiction books and films. People are sometimes frozen for especially lengthy journeys through space.
I don't think you understood what Ace was suggesting.
Whoa, wait a minute there.
Ace looked at him and raised an eyebrow.
Are you saying that Alice was frozen using that CAS thing?
Well, no, this is ancient Egypt, Dumbo.
Well, I'm sure the possibility is quite low, but it is a possibility. If this special ice you call Ice 9 does indeed exist, and CAS were used to freeze her into that sort of ice instantaneously.
You think she could be alive?
Do you think she's Zero?
Well, I can't say for sure, of course.
Although, again, that still raises the question and the problem of why would she come, finally reanimate and come back and then just abduct us? Like, we have nothing to do with her, at least I don't. Unless that has something to do... Was the Nonary Games of 9 years ago in order to telepathically, induce thought? Was it that she's in suspended animation, but she's thought enough that she should wake up and she isn't? But if we can simultaneously kickstart her brain by, forcing thought into it by means of telepathy, that she would wake up? But if so, why would she grab people that were involved in the game 9 years ago and make them do it again? Or does she not understand the real purpose of it? And she's just like, that thing that was happening when I woke up, that was fun. Let's do it again.
I'm only talking about possibilities. The melting point for Ice 9 is 96 degrees, right? If she were put somewhere where she could reach that temperature...
That's nuts. Are you really saying she could have defrosted and started walking about?
You're quite right. It does sound unbelievable. But if she had, then we would have an explanation for the man we found dead on the floor.
She hates the captain. The captain conceals the jade key.
You mean the guy dressed like a captain?
Yes.
In a dwelling long neglected.
He was dead when we found him. Clearly, he was murdered.
By an invisible axe, because we never found the axe in this playthrough, which is curious.
But if he was murdered, then by whom? It couldn't have been one of us. That would be impossible.
Yeah, because we all got into the room at the same time.
In order to enter the captain's quarters, one must first open door 1.
Or come from the other direction.
That door that requires the Earth key prevented us from accessing door 1. Who was it that opened that door?
Santa and Lotus.
Right. Clearly, the two of them could not have opened door 1, or any other door for that matter.
Because the two of them, Lotus plus Santa is 11, which would go to door 2. But yeah, just the two of them by themselves also can't open anything.
Who else then could have done so?
Yeah, it's got to be 0. There's no other possibility.
Nobody. After Santa and Lotus used the Earth key, they turned back and met up with me and June. Then we returned to the large hospital room and found Ace, 7, and Clover. While we'd gone into the shower room, Ace, 7, and Clover had stayed behind. But it's impossible for those 3 to open door 1.
Yeah, that's very. So again, we're just coming back to it. It's interesting that we're so thoroughly exploring this concept when it's kind of obvious that if someone's dead the first time someone enters a room, because even if someone had opened that door, they could have solved the puzzle and then reset everything.
But what about when June and I took the elevator to door 2? No, still won't work. We were only gone 5 minutes. No human being could have run to the captain's quarters, killed that guy in there, and run back that fast.
Not to mention they have to solve all the puzzles.
It would be impossible for any of us to be the murderer. That being the case, who could have killed him?
0! I'm like yelling at the game, except not really.
Wouldn't it make sense if his killer was someone who had been in the ship for some time? A person like that would know the ship well. They would know the locations of all the hidden passages and secret doors.
And may be able to access this room without going through the stuff we know about. In fact, they may have even come through. Actually, that would make sense. I was like, because there's a door behind the communications equipment that we can't access in our playthrough.
The numbered door would mean nothing to someone like that. It would be a simple thing for them to enter the captain's quarters.
Then you're saying the killer was Alice?
I mean, it makes more sense than anything else. I just don't understand her motive. Junpei's turned to raise an eyebrow. Ace drew his thumb across his lips thoughtfully.
Well, this is all only one possible theory.
All ice, Alice.
Cold as
Is
ice.
she really somewhere on the ship?
Is she really running around the ship murdering people? Junpei had only one clue. The key card in his
Maybe
hand.
this card will give me access to the Forest of Knowledge. And the big mystery. What could be there beyond the Forest of Knowledge? Anyway, whatever. It's gonna have to wait. I can't do anything right now.
No, you can't.
I'll come back to this later.
Yes, you will. He took the key card tighter and shoved it deep in his pocket. Alright, and with that we will go ahead and end this episode. Presumably, next time we will join back and we will finally be right there and ready to access the true ending. I've said that the last 2 bloody episodes, but when I look at this, all of the keys are lit up, none of them are crossed out, and none of them are... Before it showed a different sign, it showed the crossed were the ones we hadn't gotten to yet. So we now have this unlocked, it looks like. And I don't think there'll be any other scenes, but hey, this game surprised me in the past. It may do so again. Thank you very much for tuning in, guys. I will see you all in the next one.